Hi, lovelies, welcome back. Today I want to talk about a busy mind and what having a busy mind kind of does to us and how it can be avoided, basically. Because all human beings, and I know you hear me say this week in and week out, but this is really probably the most important thing that I think people need to understand, is that we do the best we can given how we understand life. So a busy mind is the symptom of thinking and believing that life is up to us to figure out and strategize about and plan for and kind of think our way through. And it's so innocent because we're brought up in these societies that tell us from a very young age, you have to think hard. You have to go to school and think about things and gather all your information and data and analyze things. And literally our entire education system is structured that way. And so because many of us don't know that we actually perform much better and do much better as human beings when our minds are not busy, and because we think that it's on us to think about things, that's the only way that we're going to get anywhere, or that's the only way we're going to stay safe, especially in a case of anxiety. It's like, if I don't sit here and what if my way to safety, or think my way to feeling better, or to, kind of covering my bases and getting all of my ducks in a line and all of that stuff, we honestly think that if we stop thinking about our future so much, everything's just going to fall apart. And nothing could be further from the truth, because like I talked about last week, the mind is best used in receptive mode. It's best used when it's just kind of open, hanging out, free, open to creativity, flow of thought moving through us like a river. That's the default state. And we see this in kids all the time. If you have young kids in your life, you will see that they don't sit there thinking about things and making their mind busy with what ifs and regret and, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I should do this. Like, they just don't go there. They're just kind of in life in that open, free mind. And so a busy mind is really us thinking, I have to use my mind in order to literally do anything. I mean, in the case of the education system, it's like, if I don't sit here and get really good at analyzing and comprehending and memorizing and getting the details and learning the most information, then I'm not going to get anywhere. But we carry that same habit of thinking into our lives. And we really think, oh my God, if I don't use my mind all the time to think about everything I could possibly think about, then I'm opening myself up to either like danger, like literally, like I'm not going to be okay or safe if I don't think about things. Or we think, well, I'm just not going to be as effective. I really need to think about things before in order to have them go my way or have them work out better. And so naturally, because again, we always do the best we can given how we understand life, we entertain way more thought than is helpful and necessary. We go through our lives revving at, these are obviously made up numbers, but like 300, 400 RPMs when the mind is naturally designed to be at 100. And what this does is it not only kind of wears down our system, the same way that if you constantly were revving your car much higher than it's designed to be revved, like the car has the kind of, on the tachometer, it shows like, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 is kind of where it likes to hang out. And then sometimes you go over that and it's really high. And then at about 6,000, that's when you're redlining. And redlining means, do not do that, damage, warning sign. And our minds kind of have a red line too. And it's in the form of just getting absolutely exhausted, worn down, feeling like shit, feeling burdened, feeling like we're unable to cope with life, feeling really anxious, feeling really depressed, feeling really stressed out. All of that kind of like, I can't handle this, the system is, something's wrong with me. That's telling us you might be revving your mind more than is actually, kind of, I don't want to say safe, because it's not like it's going to kill us, but like more than is how the system is designed to be ran. So the car tells us like, hey, you want to stay in the safe zone. That's going to be most helpful for the safe and smooth operation of this car. And likewise, when we're feeling good and just kind of moving through life and just in our content natural state, we don't wear ourselves out. We don't feel like we, need to escape everything or sleep for 7 days or that we're unable to cope with life. Like, that's a symptom of us going way too fast than is healthy up in here. And again, that isn't something that we need to tackle or work on or get better at or discipline ourselves to. It's just something to see. If you really think that your future safety requires that you think about things a lot, then guess what you're going to do? You're going to think about things a lot. If you think that in order to get ahead or be effective at your job or, be kind of close and connected in your relationships, whatever kind of the object is, if you think that requires thinking, planning, analyzing, strategizing, then of course you're going to do that. Of course you are. That makes sense to you. The same way that, when we understand how cars work, we're better able to drive them. And when we don't, we tend to do a lot of damage. I'm just thinking back to when I learned to drive stick. I'm like, if I didn't have such a good teacher, my friend taught me and she's amazing. And she really kind of, not only taught me how to really listen to the car and know how to do it, but she was so patient and so kind and so understanding, and she wasn't freaking out about the fact that I stalled a bunch of times and the fact that I kind of grinded the gears more than I should have. So, but that's the thing. It's like when we're learning these new things, it's natural for us to kind of do what makes sense. When I didn't know how to drive stick, I was stalling it a lot and I was grinding the gears and I was wondering why sometimes it seemed to work and sometimes it didn't. And then I had my friend be like, well, this is how transmissions work and this is how the vehicle works. And once I got all that, it suddenly was like, oh, okay, this makes perfect sense. I'm now better able to operate it in a smooth, healthy, safe, efficient manner. And that's the same way with our minds. It's like when we start to understand that they work best when we're not doing anything to them, that they don't actually do well with us constantly being at 300 or 400 RPMs when it kind of wants to just chill at 100, we'll see it tell us stuff like having us be exhausted, like having us feel disconnected. And on a broader scale than just what it does to us personally, which is makes us feel like shit, it really has a huge impact on our relationships. We simply don't connect well with others when we have a lot on our minds. So if you're looking for connectedness and closeness in your relationship, that comes naturally when you're just kind of chilling in default, when you're just kind of hanging out at 100 RPMs, when the mind is in that free-flowing state. It's so incredibly easy to connect with people. It's effortless. It's just like we kind of hang out, they kind of hang out, and everybody is just feeling our shared humanity, our shared essence. And then the minute we start using our mind to think, what are they thinking about me? What are we going to do? What is going to happen in the future? What do I think about them? The minute we kind of go and start revving the engine more than it needs to be revved, that's when we stop feeling connected and the magic wears off and we think, well, I thought I was really close to them and thought we had a lot in common, but now I'm not feeling that. And even on a bigger scale than relationships, this, in my mind, is why we have the climate crisis that we currently have. Because we live in way more thought than we need to, way more busy-mindedness than we need to, and we get disconnected from our common sense. We get disconnected from the fact that we are nature and nature is us. It's all the same. But when we're in that really busy mind, realizing that we are nature is kind of the last thing on our mind. Realizing that it doesn't make sense to be, consuming the amount we consume and polluting the amount we pollute and using the resources that we use. None of that makes sense when we're kind of in our clarity, in our calm, in our contentedness. But when we're in a busy mind, it's like, fuck the resources I'm using, I just need to feel better. So it really all comes down to the same thing, is that when we don't realize that we are innocently, very innocently, because we're just doing the best we can with what we see, when we don't realize that we are living in a far busier mind than is healthy and is necessary or that is helpful for us, then of course we're going to keep revving it higher than it needs to be revved because we just kind of think that's necessary. The same way that before I understood what RPMs I should feel, and kind of sense before I shift gears when I was learning standard, it was like, well, if I didn't understand that, I was naturally revving it way too high. And my friend was like, time to shift. So realizing how the system works, getting kind of clued in that, wait a minute, if I'm feeling super stressed and super anxious and super disconnected and super irritable, this might be because I'm revving my mind higher than is healthy. This might be because I'm using thought in a way that's not helpful. This might be because I am innocently putting so much noise and so much complexity and so much interference in the system that, oh my God, no wonder I feel exhausted. No wonder life feels difficult. No wonder I'm snappy with my partner. No wonder I can't give a rat's ass about the fact that I'm destroying the environment. Like, no wonder. Because all we're doing is being lost in thought, lost in imagination, lost in the kind of, frankly, the bullshit of our minds. And so starting to see that once we realize that we already have what we seek. We don't have to think our way to well-being. We don't have to think our way to closeness in a relationship. We don't have to think our way to creativity. We don't have to think our way to resilience or peace or just calm, contentedness, feeling good, feeling peaceful. Like, all of these things are in the system already. All of them. We don't have to think our way to love. We don't have to think our way to a kind of higher perspective. These just naturally come through. So when we start to realize that hold on a second, I would naturally have what I'm looking for if I wasn't revving the system so high that I can't really feel or see the truth of what I already have going for me, then we'll naturally stop revving it so high and just realizing, wow, I already have the confidence I seek. I already have the love I seek. I already have the feeling of connection I seek. That's already there. And I don't have to use my mind in a way that puts it in charge of getting resilience or getting love or getting peace or getting well-being, because that's there when I'm not revving the engine so high. And when we start to also see the warning signs of that, if I'm feeling really stressed and really irritable and really exhausted and really grumpy and really kind of just like shit, it's probably because I'm revving the engine too high. It's probably because I'm in a busy mind. And that's okay. The mind is going to settle. It always does. But I don't want to stay there thinking, I just got to think about it harder. I just got to plan more. I just got to get a better strategy. It's like all of that is getting in the way instead of, helping. And then to really see that when we have problems, bigger social problems like war and violence, like the environmental crisis, like, God, I can't even, so many of the problems that we're currently facing. And when we see that we have problems in our relationship, that we're feeling grumpy and irritable, that we're not feeling close and connected, that things don't feel easy and fun anymore, that's because this is going so fast and so furious that we lose access to wisdom and common sense. We lose access to love and connection. We lose access to the natural well-being that we are. That makes relationships super easy and makes doing wise, loving things for our society and our planet very easy. So again, understanding is kind of the first domino that knocks all of the other dominoes over. And when we start to see that it really just starts with understanding. It starts with seeing, how does the mind naturally work? What do we naturally have going for us? And what can I learn about it? And what can I understand about it that's going to have me get in the way a lot less and go with the natural flow a lot more? We'll see that just naturally knocks down the dominoes and takes care of all of it. So thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I love answering your questions and seeing your comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be back with you next Friday. Have a lovely weekend. Take care. Be well. Bye.